Hello and welcome everyone. Today's video is a floor work primer series. So this is an excellent video to watch without practicing with for learning purposes if you've never taken a yoga class, or if you just want a nice brief stretch floor work oriented practice, then this is a great short form video for those seeking relaxation. So let's go ahead and start sitting, as we will be doing the entire session. Have your legs out front, have them a little bit apart, draw your sitting bones back, and then do the best you can to sit up tall. You're welcome to sit on a form of cushioning, like a folded towel or blanket if you need. Otherwise, just do the best you can to really lift the chest. You could even push the hands into the ground to help that. We're gonna try and have good tall posture in all of our sitting poses, unless otherwise specified. So we're going to take the right thigh and we're going to do an inner and outer spiral of the femur in the hip socket. And you can gently massage into the inner and outer thigh, maybe gently massage the IT band a little bit as you roll that joint. Keep sitting up tall. And other leg. Very good. Now that our hips are a little bit open, we're going to sit cross-legged. And this is one of the most fundamental seated yoga postures that we practice. People often start practicing this way, we finish practicing this way, and it's important to feel comfortable as you sit. If you don't feel comfortable in the knees, then you would want to sit on a stack of cushions or a block. When in doubt, just keep adding more. It's ideal that the knees are not really high and the hips don't close in. So when in doubt, add more so the knees can open a little bit and not feel discomfort. We're gonna, again, sit tall. Now let's go ahead and stretch the right ear to the shoulder and have the left shoulder ground. Working down through the left shoulder, it makes the tissue longer from here to here, and it just really helps to ease some stored up tension that we can have in our trapezius muscles. Take deep breath as we stretch. And other side. Left ear, left shoulder, the right shoulder drops. You stay open and lifted in the chest, and just enjoy stretching and breathing. When you're ready, come back to center. We're going to hold the ground and then stir the spine. So just gently stretch and move the spine. People talk about this as like stirring the peanut butter, or it could be any form of nut or seed butter that you don't have an allergy to, or that any of your relatives don't have an allergy to. And do both directions, stirring that nut butter choice, peanut, almond, maybe even sesame tahini. There you go. And now that you're warmed up a little bit, we're going to switch which leg is forward. And this gives us a chance to stay even in how flexible the knees and hips are. When one is in front, then there's a little bit of a different sensation in each legs. And we'll start again by breathing deep, sitting tall. We're going to tuck the chin and let the back of the neck stretch. And then do a little half moon roll where you roll to one side and then the other. And when you've done both sides equally, We'll come back to center. The chin works into the chest again, and then renew the length of the spine and lift the head. Take one hand down, do a little side bend stretch. Breathe, stay open in the chest. And let's do the other side. All right, very good. The next stretch is going to be a straddle stretch. Now, the nice thing about this pose is it's very accessible to any level. If you're very new to practice and you don't have flexibility in your hips, a slight opening of the legs is perfectly fine, and then eventually open a little more. And when you become more flexible, you might open significantly wider. So the pose really is from like completely basic to like very level 5, depending on where you're at. So it really is an all levels pose. We're going to feel a sense of rolling the thighs back, the sitting bones back. Sometimes sitting on a blanket helps with that. And we're going to really lift the chest here and then take a little fingertip crawl forward. And if you're not collapsing in the chest, you can have the palms down and a softening of the shoulders, reaching forward through the chest, and a deep breath. Neutral neck. Long, slow exhale. And when you're done with this stretch, we're going to lift on up. Bring the legs a little bit in, and then bend the right knee. And we're going to make a one leg position, prepping for a twist. So this leg being bent is a good stretch for the thigh. Sometimes you feel it a lot in the knee. You can always use something under the knee, a block or a stack of cushions. We're going to be doing a twist. If your knee really hurts and you don't have props, folding it over the leg is a good alternative for twisting, although you don't stretch nearly as much in the leg and hip, as well as working on the spine. So we'll do this if we can. We're going to really work on lifting the chest, either pushing to the floor, or to add more strength and openness, we bring the arms up. And we're really lifting the chest. That feeling of lifting the sternum is really good for maintaining as we twist. So in the prep pose, it makes our back strong, and in the twist, when we twist to the right, exhale, we feel more freedom between the discs by maintaining that nice healthy length of the spine. And the head turns, although sometimes the neck really doesn't feel good. So neutral neck is nice. Even looking the other way maybe is working for you. Deep breath. Back to the center position, and let's go ahead and adjust to the other leg. Sitting bones back, the knee opens, lifting the chest, arms up, lifting the spine, toning the muscles in the back. breathing, and then keeping that lift of the sternum as we take the twist. Nice deep twist, deep quality breath. The shoulders, they would have a habit of closing in, especially if you're tight in the shoulders, but do your best to stay buoyant in the chest, peel the shoulders back. Deep breath. And when you're ready, we're going to come back to center. Next pose is the butterfly pose. This is a classic entry-level yoga pose, and it really assists with a lot of other seated hip openers. It'll help your straddle, it helps with the cross-legged and lotus positions, and so on and so forth. And it's just a great pose on its own. At first, when you're really tight in your hips, your knees might be high, and then they're more medium, and eventually with the feeling of pushing the heels into each other and opening the feet like a well-read book, you can work the knees down. A light engagement of the glutes, the strengthening of the back of the hips can actually help the front of the hips open a little bit more. You just don't want to over squeeze, especially if you have a delicate sacrum. So stretching the hips, lift the chest, butterfly pose. Deep breath. And this, like all of the seated poses, or most of the seated poses I should say, is greatly assisted by sitting on the edge of a folded towel or blanket. Very good. And now we're going to do a couple of simple strength poses before we conclude practice. So have the feet kind of long and forward and flat on the ground. Depending on how long your torso or femurs are, you may want your hands pretty far back. If you have short legs and short torso, maybe not as much. And we're going to do a table. Now, at first, students can just lift a little bit. And if that's a lot on the wrists, then you don't have to do too much, or you could use your fists. And if you can eventually lift till your body's flat, like a table, and the final phase of the pose is taking the head back. Only do this if you're breathing smooth and it feels right for your body. We're going to lower the hips and draw the hips back. When you're new to these strength poses, it's good to do them just a little bit. Eventually you can do multiple rounds and hold them for a long time. But for today, we'll just do them briefly, just as an introduction. The next strength pose is Navasana. So we have the knees high. Try and have them as high as the chest, and either hold the ground or the legs. You start with the legs bent. They can stay that way, or arms can be out. And eventually, if the knees can stay high, you can lift the legs part way, or pointing the ankles, lift the legs more fully. Just keep the knees and the chest high, and we'll release from that. Doing that for a good long hold is very good for building heat and strength and cleansing, but when you're new to it, it's good to do it briefly. We're going to sit and draw the sitting bones back. Then sit tall, either the fingertips pressing the ground or the arms lifting. And this is the last strength pose we'll do sitting. and takes flexibility as well. And it's not as blatant as the last two poses, but it's very powerful, especially when you spend time here and really refine the lift of the sternum, the openness of the shoulders, the length of the neck. You want the shoulders low, and if they really ride up with the arms lengthened, it's perfectly fine to do more of a goalpost-like position. Otherwise, if the neck is comfortable, if the shoulders aren't lifting too high, and you can really get that reach from the base of the sitting bones through the ribs, arms, and fingertips, then that's nice. And it's great power and openness that we display through the mastery of this simple pose. Have patience with yourself and remember to practice continually to see progress. We're going to segue into a forward fold. If you can't reach the feet, that's perfectly fine. Holding the shins or having the knees bent and holding the feet is a great method. Otherwise, you may be able to emphasize reaching forward through the chest and holding the feet, the neutral neck. And you want to soften in the shoulders and breathe deep. And release the forward bend. And we're going to go ahead and again have the legs out front. One more time, rolling out the femur and gently massaging the inner and outer thigh. Maybe put a little extra emphasis in the IT band with both hands. If cross-legged sitting is hard for you and you have really tight and delicate IT band, then doing this regularly can really help with that. It's good for a lot of other things as well. Let's try rolling out the other leg, still sitting up tall. Very good. We'll do a little IT band massage. Self-massage is part of classic yoga, or at least Ayurveda, the sister science of yoga. And very good to incorporate in your daily routine of yoga, self-care, and meditation. And we will switch to sitting cross-legged. We're going to do 2 very brief sits with the eyes closed for about 5 breaths. Now, when you have a long, subtle breath, 5 breaths takes about a minute. So we're just going to close the eyes, focus on 1 breath at a time, and then we're going to do the other set of legs. Nice tall spine, letting the mind experience this gradual turning down of the volume to enjoy quiet time. Very good. Come back to the body. Let's roll the shoulders a couple times. Each way, 2 directions. And then switch. Which leg is in front? Sitting bones back. If you're very uncomfortable, remember you can add a cushion. And again, we're going to sit tall. We're just going to take a little bit of quiet time with the eyes closed, focusing on smooth breath. Come back to the body. Tuck the chin, let the back of the neck stretch, and then renew the length of the spine, lift the chest, and let the head follow. Sit tall. Let's conclude with a clearing breath and 1 Om. So breathe in, open mouth, exhale, and then inhale for Om. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. If you enjoyed this practice, and you haven't yet, please give a subscription to the channel. And also there's a link in the description below for making donations, which allow me to produce more content for this channel. We have a wide range of different styles of practice and different lengths of videos that is aimed to accommodate all different types of people's needs. So thank you again. It's very helpful if you give a like, share, comment, and subscription. And I look forward to practicing with you in the virtual world more soon. Take care, everyone. Namaste.